Genesis 18 gives an account of the Lord visiting Abraham. So here is Abraham, sitting in the door of his tent, because the day was hot. Then Abraham looked up and saw three men, and immediately he ran toward them and bowed himself toward the ground. Not only that, he said, "My Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, pass not away from your servant." So he called him Lord and called himself servant. After that, Abraham told them to let water be fetched to wash their feet, and told them to rest under the tree, and to also let bread be fetched so that they could be comforted. And they agreed. So Abraham went quickly to the tent and told Sarah his wife to make cakes. He then ran to get a tender calf and let one of his men dress it. Then Abraham set butter and milk and the calf before the men, and they ate. Then after the men ate, they asked Abraham where Sarah was. And Abraham told them that Sarah was in the tent. So he told Abraham Sarah would have a son. And Sarah heard it. So when Sarah heard it, Sarah laughed within herself and asked, "After I am old, would I find pleasure, seeing that my Lord is also old?" But the Lord asked Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh?" And he asked also, "Is there anything too hard for the Lord? Surely when I return, Sarah would have a son." And Sarah denied it because she was afraid. But he told her, "Yes, you did laugh." Anyway, the men got up and they stood and looked toward Sodom. And the Lord said, "Shall I hide my plans from Abraham? This thing which I plan to do?" Because he knew that Abraham would be a great nation. He also knew that all nations of the earth would be blessed because of Abraham. And he knew that Abraham would command his children and his household in the ways of the Lord. And the Lord said, "Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if not, I will know." And so the men turned toward Sodom, but Abraham went before the Lord. And so Abraham asked him, "Are you going to destroy the righteous with the wicked?" So basically, Abraham started to bargain with God. First, he started with 50. He asked the Lord, if there were 50 righteous persons in the city, would he destroy it and not spare the place for the 50 righteous? And the Lord told him that if there were 50 found, he would not destroy it. The good thing was that Abraham was humble, because when he spoke to God, he spoke in humility. Then he asked the Lord, if there were 5 lacking from that 50, would he destroy it? And the Lord told him if there were only 45, he would not destroy it. So then the countdown began. And Abraham asked him, if there were only 40 found there, whether he would destroy it or not. Then Abraham asked the Lord if there were only 30 persons. Then he asked about 20. And the Lord promised not to destroy it if there were 20. And finally went to 10 persons. When Abraham asked if he would not destroy it for 10, and the Lord said he would not destroy it if there were 10 righteous persons there. Then the Lord went his way and left communion with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. Now, there were many lessons in this chapter, but one of the things that stood out is that God listens to his people. God understands our feelings. He understands where we are at. Not only that, he values us. And so we see It went right down to 10 persons. He promised not to destroy a wicked city if there were 10 righteous persons there. This tells me that God loves us. It tells me that God cares and he values who we are. And so we just give God the praise, we give God the glory. We thank the Lord for caring and for loving us. Genesis 18 gives an account